Welcome to Mobile Car Mechanic. Today we're going to show you how to change the rear pads and rotors on this 2020 Hyundai Palisade. It's going to apply from 2020 all the way to 2025. Let's get to it. All right, parts and tools needed are going to be the rotor, the brake pads themselves, some brake cleaner, some brake grease, caliper compression tool for the rears because they use a spin-in style. So you need an adapter kit for that, which we'll link in the description. A 17mm wrench, as well as a 14mm socket, preferably a stubby extension. The long extension is what I could find at the time. An impact driver for the screws that hold the rotor on, and a hammer. All right, so we're going to find our jack point here, which is right here. Make sure you have your wheels chocked and your parking brake up. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get a 21mm socket on our impact. Otherwise, you can use your lug wrench. If you're gonna do this using a lug wrench or a breaker bar, make sure that make sure the vehicle is partially jacked up. Loosen up the lug nuts while the tire is kind of making contact to the ground, and then continue to jack it up from there. But since we have an impact, we can go ahead and just lift it up in the air. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put a jack stand in. I'm gonna go ahead and raise the vehicle a little bit more. And then we'll go ahead and put it in the rear subframe here. So I'll put it right in the middle. And then I'll just slightly lower it until it touches it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and focus on getting the 14mm caliper bolts out. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and have to go inside the car. So we have the electronic parking brake over here. You will need a scan tool in order to retract it. So let's go ahead and get our scan tool, and we'll show you what you need to do using our scan tool. All right, so before we go ahead and actually do any brake work, we actually have to go ahead and put the car in accessory mode. Just hit the power button twice and then get your scan tool. So we're gonna go ahead and use the Think Diag here, dongle. So we're gonna go in the software. We're gonna go to All Systems Diagnostic. I'm gonna search the brand here. And once it makes a connection, we'll select 16 pin, and then we'll automatically search. We're going to confirm that that's our vehicle, and then we're going to go to the special function. And so what we're going to do is we're going to select the brake pad replacement option. Okay, I'm going to hit continue. Okay, so it's telling us the conditions of what it needs to do in order to enter that mode. So we're going to hit OK. All right, now we're going to confirm that, and then we're going to go ahead and work on the rear brakes. All right, so what we have to do now is we have to take the connector off the electronic parking brake mechanism. So we're just going to go get a flat head in there and just kind of tilt it just a slight bit. And that should give us the ability to remove it. So we're gonna just go like that, and then you don't have to go all the way. You just need to give it a little bit of some move there. And so now that we have that out of the way, whatever, you have two 14mm bolts here. So we're gonna go ahead. I can't find my short extension. You want to use a short extension or a deep 14. So we're going to go ahead and get it right here for this one. Okay. We got the bottom one here. All right. Should be able to go ahead and slide it off somehow. All right. So there seems to be a problem with these what do you call it, pistons, where they get really stuck. You are going to need a special socket or tool in order to spin this back in, because it's not a compressed style. So I'll go ahead and kind of show you how that's done, but you're probably going to have a struggle with it. All right, so with the special tool that we have, we'll link it in the description, because there's a left side and a right side for this specific tool. We're using this specific adapter. I don't know if it's 9 or 6, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and insert these little nubs into the little crevices right there. Get our tool in there. Then we're going to wind this back, hopefully, or not. Okay. It might be better to just kind of have this screwed down, because it's just going to suck. I'm just going to flip it the opposite direction. It's not going to go in, so whatever. All right, I'm going to just use it to hold it. So we're going to try to spin the piston here. It's really difficult, so I'm just going to use some leverage. I'm probably going to bend the tool. It looks like it's slipped off, because I'm going to retighten this up here. You'll notice this kind of binding. We'll loosen that up just as it goes. Let me hit it with some brake cleaner really quickly. I'll kind of lubricate it a little bit. It's getting stuck to the piston there. Try to loosen it up just a slight bit, so it makes it easier for it to not get stuck and bind. Okay. Making progress here. And we're doing this first because you're going to have to do this regardless, and this is just the most difficult portion of it for no reason. That might be bottomed out. We'll find out once we actually put the pads on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and unscrew it from here. Okay. I'm just going to lay it right here for now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take our brake pads out. Might be easier to do it when the bracket is off because there's something holding it in place. So we're going to go ahead and get our 17mm wrench. Preferably not ratcheting, but that's what I have right now. And we're going to go ahead and get let's see if I can do it by hand. Nope. Use a hammer. Get the bottom one. It's kind of limited space to get a socket in here, that's why I'm using a wrench. Just right at the end, it just gets stuck. I don't understand why it's so stubborn. Yeah, there's no way this would have came out with a socket wrench, unless you took out the strut. All right, so the bolt won't come all the way out, so we'll just let it sit there. And we're gonna go ahead and tackle. I didn't realize these were here. We should have done this before taking off the brakes in general, but we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do. All right, so we're gonna get our impact driver with our Phillips head bit on there, and we're just gonna hope for the best at this point. So, all right, one down, one more to go. These screws are in there pretty tight. I'll go ahead and try to get this one here as well. Beautiful. All right, so that's out now. Now let's see if the rotor comes off. Sweet. All right, let's go ahead and get our replacement rotor. All right, we're gonna go ahead and clean the rotor with a brake cleaner. Now we're gonna give it a wipe down. We do this because there's an anti-rust coating on there, which is greasy, and you don't want that on your brake pads. All right, now that we got that clean, we want to do our best not to touch the surface, but if you do, you can just hit it with some brake cleaner. So let's go ahead and put it on the vehicle. And then if you're gonna put the screws back in there, we want to make sure that we line it up to these. So I think that's gonna be this way here. Sweet, all right. And we're not gonna go ahead and tighten these. These things will tighten on their own. Like we'll give it a little bit of a, you know, small tightening there, but it will, the heat and cold cycles will definitely make it get stuck. All right, let's go ahead and hit with some brake cleaner here. Okay, now we have the brake caliper bracket. So this is the it's where the brake pads go. It looks like it's easier to just knock them out from the inside. So let's go ahead and compare what we have. So the squealer for the inner pad is going to be on the top. So let's go ahead and get our brake pads here. This side does not have a squealer, so I'm going to push it on the inside here. If you're going to reuse your clips, just make sure you clean them up. We'll get our new set of pads here. Okay, remember the inner pad had the squealer up at the top. I'm going to go ahead and do it from the inside, since it seems like it's getting caught up when we try to pull it out from the outside. Yep. I guess the reason why it's getting caught from the outside is there's this little tab here, so you could probably bend that down and be fine. And then we'll take the outer pad and do the same thing here. Or maybe I can try to get it from the outside here. Okay. So I think the person had their pads replaced before, because there's little holes here for little spring clips. So they may be there if you haven't done your brakes before. So I don't have replacement ones. So we're just gonna keep it like this for now. We're gonna go ahead and grease up the slider pins now. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just replace the grease here. I'm gonna clean it off first with a paper towel. Let's hit it with some brake cleaner. Then we'll go ahead and grease it up. That should be a good coat. Go ahead and put that one in here. You don't need to glob the grease on there. So we should be good there. Now we go ahead and put the bracket on the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and put it right here. And we're gonna go ahead and start putting in the caliper bolts in there. We will list the torque values for all the bolts that we're tightening up in the video description. I just don't know it off the top of my head at the moment. All right, we'll go ahead and get this one in there too. All right, let's tighten this one up here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, since it's hard to get a torque wrench back here, I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten it as best as I can using a hammer and a wrench. Okay. Right. Now, moment of truth. I'm gonna go ahead and try to put the caliper in. Hopefully we have the piston all the way in like it's supposed to. So we're gonna squeeze the pads so they touch the rotor. All right. So it looks like we are golden. Go ahead and put our 14 millimeters in here. Probably not going in. It's one of those false things where it just tricks you into thinking that you got it. So we're just gonna right off of that. This one's going in though. Fantastic. So I'll go ahead and use my wrench here. All right, now we have that all in place. I'm gonna go ahead and put the connector back into place. Should click, but this one doesn't want to click for some stupid reason. There we go, now it's locked in place. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and go back into the car, and we're gonna exit out of service mode for the rear brake pads. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and exit out of service mode for the brakes. So we're gonna go ahead and put it back in accessory mode. And then make sure you have your scan tool plugged in. I'm using the Think Diag right here. I'm gonna go ahead and and what you'll notice is when the car is still in brake replacement mode, the brake light will blink. And then the EPB light is actually on as well, so the electronic parking brake. So it's in a service mode at the moment. So, all right, now we're gonna go to 16 pin, automatically search, continue, special function, brake pad replacement, confirm. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and make sure it says, so allow to push the piston and retracting the spindle nut with the actuator, all pan, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's telling me that I should apply the parking brake 3 times, but let me see what happens if I hit the OK button. Okay, so that did it. Now the EPB light is off and the brake light's not blinking anymore. So now we're gonna go ahead and just start the vehicle. I'm gonna pump the brake a couple times just to make sure that we actually have brake. And then we'll go ahead and put it on the wheel. And that's it, we're done. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the wheel on. Might need to jack up the vehicle a little bit more because I had the jack stand under there, which we're gonna take out. But I have to do the other side, so I won't do it on video. All right. These wheels are heavy. All right. Whew. All right, remember if you're going to be using a lug wrench or a breaker bar, You want to tighten these up as much as you can, but not too much, to the point where you're twisting the axle in the rear. And then we're going to have the tire touch the ground slightly, and then you'll fully torque it down. Since we're using an impact, we can do this in the air. All right, once we have it all tightened up, we'll just lower it down and you're done. That's it. Thank you for watching Mobile Car Mechanic. Today we just showed you how to replace the rear pads and rotors on this 2020 Hyundai Palisade. It's going to apply from 2020 all the way to 2025. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.